Welcome to Fortune Cookies Tarot. Today we're going to be talking about the Hunter Biden legal juggernaut. He's had a lot of cases. He's had a lot of pleas. He's waiting sentencing on two major things. So we're going to see how this all works out for him. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Tarot fam. So in this video, we are going to talk about Hunter Biden's legal trouble. Now, we all know that there was some issue with him purchasing a protection device. And that protection device was the filing for the license for it was not quite as honest as it was supposed to be. There is a line item on there that asks if you have been using hugs or getting hugs or involved in hugs. And you guys know what I'm talking about. And he said no on that line, but apparently text messages, private text messages have shown that that's not true. Behaviors were shown that that was not true. And jurors decided that that was not true. Initially, there's an interview with juror number 10. Initially, it was a split vote, and then they went back and they did discuss it, and they decided that a hug user does as a hug user is. So that came up against him. Now, we had the interesting Alford plea for the tax evasion in California. I accurately predicted that he was going to settle that case by putting in a plea and shutting everything down. Why did he do that? Because it would have involved investigation into all of the bank accounts of all of the Bidens. We would have opened up a huge can of worms there, especially if forensic accountants got in there and started looking at where money was being filtered to. So this tax evasion thing, I think they're letting Hunter fall on the sword for the whole family. So we're going to take a look at a lot. So let's start with the timeline here. I'm just going to bring up his timeline. So it was December 10th, 2020, a month after the presidential election in which Joe Biden won. Hunter Biden announced that federal prosecutors in Delaware were investigating his tax affairs. We skip over, he's actually been under investigation since 2018. The investigation goes way, way back. 2020, December of 2021, Attorney General William Barr said he did not intend to appoint a special counsel to investigate Hunter Biden, as President Trump had suggested. Some others suggested that as well. In April of 2021, Hunter Biden released his memoir and addressed a lot of the topics regarding his hug struggles, his dealings in China, his position with Burisma on the board of the Ukrainian oil and gas company. That has always been in question because he really had no purpose of being there. We also have, of course, the declaration of Joe Biden that he refused to release funds from the United States unless that special prosecutor in Ukraine was dismissed from the role. So lots of interesting things. So we are going, and just to be sure, Hunter Biden's memoir is called Beautiful Things. March 2022, the tax affair investigation intensified. There was a grand jury in Delaware. They asked about payments that Hunter received while on the board of Burisma and how he paid off his tax obligations in recent years. November 2022, Republicans were poised to push ahead this investigation into the Biden family, including Hunter. Jim Jordan and James Comer were pledging to pursue all avenues of wrongdoing and calling investigations into the president's family a top priority. So December 2022, Hunter Biden retained Abby Lowell to navigate this congressional issue. March 2023, Merrick Garland said that David Weiss, U.S. Attorney David Weiss, has been told he has full authority to make any charging decisions stemming from the Hunter Biden investigation, even if that would involve bringing a case in a district outside of Delaware. March 2023, Hunter Biden had his attorneys file counterclaims in alleging invasion of privacy for a defamation lawsuit brought by Delaware-based computer repairman John Paul Mac Isaac. This is the gentleman that had the laptop that was declared during the election, the 2020 election, as Russian misinformation or disinformation. It has now been proven that that laptop is legitimate. I'm just catching you guys up on the timeline on this, so I'll make this fast. So we skip forward 2023. The IRS told lawmakers they had information that suggested the Biden administration could be mishandling the investigation into Hunter Biden. May of 2023, there was a House Oversight Committee issued a subpoena demanding FBI produce a record related to an alleged criminal scheme involving then President Joe Biden and a foreign national. This subpoena seeks an unclassified FD 1023 document, which is generally defined as a report from an informant. The White House denounces the content of this document as anonymous innuendo. May of 2023, attorneys for the IRS whistleblower informed key members of Congress their client, along with the entire investigation, has been removed from the probe into the president's son. The Justice Department defers comment to U.S. Attorney David Weiss, who does not comment on the claim. June 2023, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer announces his intention to initiate contempt of Congress hearings over FBI Director Chris Wray's refusal to physically return over the FD 1023 document that Republicans believe is related to Joe Biden. June 2023, Hunter Biden agrees to plead guilty to a pair of tax-related misdemeanors and enters into pre-trial diversion agreement, which would allow him to avoid prosecution on one felony self-protection device charge, potentially ending in a years-long probe. I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible, guys. So we are going to skip forward to, this is June 2023. There's so much information here, guys. Oh my goodness. I can't even tell you. So we're not going to go into that 1023 document as much. I don't want to give you too much minutia on this. July 2023, Hunter Biden's attorney, Abby Lowell, sends a cease and desist letter to Trump's legal team claiming that Trump's rhetoric on social media and elsewhere could lead to Hunter Biden or his family's injury. This is not a false alarm, Lowell writes. You should make clear to Mr. Trump, if you have not done so already, that Mr. Trump's words have caused harm in the past and threatened to do so if he does not stop. So we are going to skip forward because we are a year out. Where is the self-protection device? Woo! It just goes on and on, guys. So, September 19th, 2023, Hunter Biden's attorneys file court papers seeking to have his client's arraignment scheduled for October 3rd in a Delaware court. Take place by a video conference instead of in person. He loves those video conferences. A judge, September 20th, 2023, a judge denies Hunter Biden's effort to avoid appearing in person at the arraignment on the federal self-protection device charges, ordering him to appear at the scheduled October 3rd. September 26th, Hunter Biden files a lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani. accusing him of computer fraud over his role in obtaining and sharing the documents on the infamous laptop. October 3rd, 2023, Hunter Biden appears in the same Delaware courthouse where his federal plea with prosecutors fell apart over the summer, formally enters a plea of not guilty to the 3 felony self-protection device charges that were part of the original plea agreement. It was in November that Tony Babaluski, who was also part of the Burisma team, he appeared and gave lots of revealing testimony. We are going forward. There's like every day there is like something that's going on. December 7th, special counsel 2023, David Weiss files 9 tax-related charges against Hunter Biden, accusing him to fail to pay $1.4 million in taxes from 2016 to 2020. The indictment alleges the younger Biden earned millions of dollars from foreign entities and spent millions of dollars on an extravagant lifestyle at the same time he chose not to pay his taxes. So Abby Lowell, Hunter's attorney, claimed the 56-page indictment included no new evidence and says, based on the facts of the law, if Hunter's last name was anything other than Biden, the charges in Delaware and California would not have been brought. So we are steaming right ahead. January 2024, he appeared in federal court in Los Angeles and entered a plea of not guilty to the 5 felony and misdemeanor tax charges. Those are in David Weiss's December indictment. David, on the January 16th of 2024, special counsel David Weiss issued a biting rebuttal to Hunter Biden's attempt to have the 3 felony self-protection charges against him thrown out, calling his selective prosecution claim a fiction designed for a Hollywood script. There was back and forth over the next few weeks. Again, in February 2024, Tony Babalinski, one-time business associate of Hunter Biden, who has become a critic of the Biden family, testifies before the House Oversight Committee. This was the bombshell, reiterating claims that he made during the 2020 election that Joe Biden was an enabler of several of his family's overseas business schemes and then sold out foreign actors who were seeking to gain influence and access to the Joe Biden United States government. So I could go on and on about this. So let's fast forward to what just happened. So Hunter Biden pled guilty on all charges. And what he did was he made an Alford plea. This is also called a Kennedy plea in West Virginia. And essentially what this is, it's a plea of not guilty, innocent, but it has the caveat that the individual understands that the prosecution has far too much evidence and they may be found guilty. So it's an interesting plea. This is a legally permissible plea in nearly all U.S. federal and state courts, except for Indiana, Michigan, and New Jersey. We have a lot of weird rules here, or in the courts of the United States Armed Forces. So it is named after the United States Supreme Court case of North Carolina versus Alford. Henry Alford had been indicted. It's the 1970, had been indicted on first degree unaliving in 1963. Evidence in the case included testimony from witnesses that Alford himself said after the victim's passing that he had unalived the victims. Court testimony showed that Alford and the victim had argued at the victim's house. Alford left the house, and afterward, the victim received a unaliving self-protection device wound when he opened the door responding to a knock. So Alford was faced with the possibility of capital punishment if convicted in a jury trial. The death penalty was the default sentence in North Carolina at the time. And if 2 criteria were satisfied, The defendant, at the time, if two criteria were satisfied, the defendant had to have pled not guilty, and the jury did not instead recommend a life sentence. So he pled guilty to first-degree unaliving. He would have had the possibility of a life sentence and would have avoided the unaliving penalty, but he did not want to admit guilt. Nonetheless, Alford pleaded guilty to a second-degree unaliving and said he was doing so to avoid a death sentence where he were to be convicted of the first-degree murder after attempting to contest the charge. Alford was sentenced to 30 years, I almost said 30 degrees, 30 years in prison after the judge trial accepted the plea bargain and ruled that the defendant had been adequately advised by his lawyer. Alford appealed and requested a new trial, arguing he was forced into the guilty plea because he was afraid of receiving the unaliving sentence. So he petitioned, and he did give this second plea, and ultimately the court allowed the guilty plea with the simultaneous protestation of innocence only because there was enough evidence to show that the prosecution had a strong case for conviction and that the defendant was entering such a plea to avoid the possible sentence. The court noted that even if the defendant could have shown that he would not have entered a guilty plea, but for the rationale of receiving a lesser sentence, the plea itself would not have been ruled invalid. As evidence existed that could have supported Alford's conviction, the Supreme Court held that his guilty plea was allowable, while the defendant himself still maintained that he was not guilty. Alford died in prison in 1975. So enough of that. I know you guys want to see the cards. So that was 16 minutes of backstory on this. I may not even leave this on there. Let's see how Hunter's doing. Let's pull up the card view. As always, thank you for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm not going to go into everything else. I just wanted to give you kind of the tangled web of what's going on and what Hunter had pled with this Alford plea. It's kind of the first time a lot of people have heard it. It's not something that is commonly broadcast, or it hasn't been in any pop culture courts at all. So let's see how Hunter's feeling right now. Right now, we're going to pull up this view. Whoop. Pulling up. I hope you're all having a great day. So how is Hunter doing? My lighting's a little bit different today too, guys. So I'm hoping lighting's going to be good on this. So this is odd. The Lover's card and protection, there's somebody helping him out at this point. This is partnership. You all that follow me know that the Lover's card for me is more about working together and partnering up. This is our protection card. Very regretful for what he has done. But this is a guy who's falling on the sword here. He's taking responsibility for the mismanagement or the missing funds. The hope is that he's going to be okay in the future. I'm getting the feeling that we're going to avoid some time in jail. Now, I know we have one sentencing right around or right after the for the self-protection device. We've got one sentencing for that, and then we've got another one, I think, in December for this tax evasion. So I don't know. This looks like he's got people in favor. Let's take a look. People in favor of keeping him out of jail. Let's take a look. Oh my God, there's so much corruption going on here. I'm sorry, I said the C word. Let's take a look at the self-protection device. You guys know what I'm talking about. I can't say the word on here, but let's see how that sentencing is going to go. Again, that star on the bottom, he's making a deal. There's a deal somewhere that we're not going to see this, guys. The tower. There's a deal being cut on this one. And it's, I'm going to say I think it has to do with getting some care for the issues that were in dispute, the issue with hugs. I think getting more care for that. It's almost like, well, I went to the spa, let's call it the spa, the place where one gets better. Went to the spa so that I can avoid going off to summer camp. Can we call it summer camp? We're going to call the other thing summer camp. The spa, which is where you would get care and treatment and feel better, it's almost like they're going to consider that time served. I know that sounds radical, but that's what's going to happen. This is an ongoing prison that he's in. So let's not make it harder for him. That's what's going to happen. But here we get this tower card. What is going to be this tower crashing moment? I'm going to throw another deck on top of this. So everybody just hold on to your hats. I know this is a long video. I'll break this up into a few sections. This card just totally dropped out. Oh my. All right, so this is interesting. So what does this tell me? What is our moment, that this tower crashing moment? This is something that happens to us from without. We get this, I'm trying to walk away. I really didn't learn my lesson. I think we're going to have some information come out. I don't think it's the laptop. I think there's other information that's going to come out. I think there are other people that are going to contribute some stories to this. I think he is going to be like, hey, I'm like a new guy. I'm the fool. Here we go, a fool card. I'm the fool. And I'm just like getting a fresh start. The star card indicates like, hey, I'm trying to get a fresh start. I'm trying to start over. I'm trying to rectify myself. But the reality with this world card is that this is the same old game. I think, there's a thing called California sober, and I'm wondering if he's California sober. And that means, we can have a glass of wine, we can have a little smoke, but we just don't do, those big ticket items that are not legal in some states. That's really what I think is going on here. I think that that's what this tower crashing moment is going to be, even if they are running some tests periodically. I think that potentially could be a downfall. But I do think that his attorney would say that's a like again, a breach of privacy. I think we're going to get a breach of privacy. So that is the self-protection device, which, if you don't know about that story, it is so ludicrous. It was his brother Beau's widow. They were both doing a lot of hugging, and she was concerned about him, so she took the self-protection item and dropped it in a dumpster, like not far from his school. Like, it was a wild story. Like, you don't hear about stuff like that. It was really wild. So let's see this tax evasion. How is that conviction going to shape up? So just to be clear, I think they're going to get creative with the sentencing on the self-protection device charge. I think his lawyer is going to say, well, he was at this facility and he's been doing this, that, and the other thing, and maybe we should give him a break. So we'll just see. Let's see what the tax evasion one, that's December. Right now, they intend to sentence him in December. So let's see what that's all about. The tower. He's gonna mess this up. Something's going to go wrong with this. So that Alford plea, the Alford plea is not going to help as much as they think. They wanted to close that out. Now I'm going to say again, psychic score. Yay. I should do a little video. Psychic score. Wait a minute. Hang on. Sorry, have to. If you don't honk, no one honks your horn if you don't. So my mom says that all the time. So I predicted that he was going to plead guilty on this. He didn't want the invasion of privacy for the entire Biden family because they're going to see where all that money went. It would give them access to everyone's bank accounts. It would be a smell of a hess, if you ask me. Here, this Alford plea is not going to serve him as well as he thinks it is. I think this is like the Sleeping Beauty fairies. I can't undo the curse, but I can soften it. And I think that they're just not going to soften the sentencing on this. I think we are going to see something a little stiffer here. So Eight of Swords in reverse. Two of Pentacles, the Devil. I have a feeling that the ball that they are trying to stop rolling is already in movement. I think we already have an investigation going. I think they already have, just via this particular case, I think they already have a pathway to other resources, let's say that. So how does he see himself on this? Oh, not very successful. This is not going to work the way they want it to. It's very interesting. And I just finished London Roberts' book last night. So I want to talk about that in one of the readings on this, but like I said, I'll break it up. So how Hunter sees himself is he didn't cover his tracks carefully enough. He was not protected well enough. How others see him is that they protected him as much as they could, but he did not do the proper steps to get himself locked in. This is really not a good thing. He thinks that he is far more charismatic and bulletproof, Teflon, than he really is. And here, this is just not going to work. This is the only way they could go. He's falling on the sword for this family. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. So what's his current state of being right now about the self-protection charges? The self-protection charges. You know what I'm talking about. That's the first one. What's his current state of being? We've got, again, partnering up. He's making a deal. Let's make a deal. Negotiating very, very hard. Again, saying, I'm a changed man. This was a circumstance. Oh, he's going to blame the process for being too easy. This is also going to be a statement about self-protection device control. So we're going to see that. Is it going to work? I think we're going to, again, talk about going to the spa, getting some care and help on that. And one of the interesting things was during the Martha Moxley investigation into her, what was it, 1965? 1970. I can't remember what year. It's 1975. Sorry. Martha Moxley, they had taken Michael Skakel, who was the nephew of Ethel Kennedy, and they had put him in rehabs, rehab after rehab. They were schools because the police couldn't question him while he was in there. Really interesting manner of doing that. There's something about this. Now, I don't know if those laws have changed that you can't go in and talk to someone when they are in a rehabilitation facility, but it's very curious that he goes back to the spa, rest and recovery. So maybe we defer our jail time on this, our time in the spa. But does it work? I don't know. I think it's something he does not want to do, go into a living facility spa. It does restrict movement, and I don't think that he is fully not doing the things that he would do. So that is how he feels about the gun, the self-protection device. Self-protect. God, I can't even edit that out. I don't edit. I just go for bore, guys. Go for bore. How does he feel about this tax evasion? I could say that, can't I? So that Queen of Swords, boys and girls, is a liar. So is that Knight of Swords. There's a lot of lying going on here. Which, by the way, in the British section of our grocery store, they had a lion bar. I had a lion bar yesterday. I was very excited. I don't eat candy bars a whole lot, but the last few days I've been craving them, and that lion bar was amazing. And I got my daughter a mint arrow bar, and Greg had a bounty, and we were all very happy about that. Angus is down at his dad's this weekend, so he didn't get any candy bars. But so I'll hook him up when he gets home. They didn't have any flakes, and he's like a flaky kind of guy. So here, and this is a liar, this is a liar, and this is the hope for the restart. We're just gonna, I do think that part of him is like, well, we'll just pay that money and get done with it. We'll just like set up a payment plan. Does that work? No, it looks like in two different directions under the surface, hoping that we're going to go in another direction, but we are moving. This is not a case that we're going to just boop, boop, do an Alford plea and then we're going to move on from it. It's not going to happen. There's going to be more consequences. There's the way that he has navigated through life so far is really indicative of how his disposition about these cases. I don't care that if he's crying, on camera as they're talking to him, he's really anticipating not being in trouble. In the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about London Roberts' book. She is the baby mama that had his daughter Navy, and there was a whole kerfuffle. They were denying that he even knew her, that there was even any relationship. He said some awful things in his book, beautiful things. He was not very kind to her, not a good person as far as that whole situation went. So we're going to look at that in the next one. But for now, thank you for watching. If you'd like your own magical reading, you can book one down below. And we're going to keep talking about this. This is going to be something to watch. So I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you have a great day.